Okay, we looked at how to turn latitude, longitude into MGRS. Let's flip that around and look at how do we convert MGRS to Lat Lon. So here's all the formulas. I won't go too deep into any of them. They're very similar to the previous ones. But let's think about this. We have MGRS, 2 digits of a grid zone, then a letter for a grid zone in the northing, 2 more letters which represent the grid square, 100,000 meter grid square, and then we have 5 digits of 100,000 meters in easting, and then 5 digits of the 100,000 meters in northing. So there's MGRS. So to work backwards to find out what the latitude longitude is, we first have to come up with which grid zone number we're dealing with. So what we want to take is, we're looking at this letter. We have the grid zone easting number, which is the 29, and then we have the letter, which comes from the first letter, which is the northing grid zone. So that's 3 north of the equator. So we end up with these 3 letters, split them out, R, K, and M. And then we have, this is how many digits of meters there are. There's 10 digits here, 5 and 5, so 10 digits total, so I can break it out into the 2 chunks. Then we start working backwards to flip this out into latitude, longitude. So we start breaking out the little pieces as we go through, and you can see what's happening in all of the formulas to convert backwards. These 2 blocks right here are important because they become the UTM, easting and northing. So you can see those guys end up here at the very end. 29 Romeo, and then all the other digits. Once we get the UTM, we start working out to get the latitude, longitude. And you can see all those crazy formulas that are required to get us there. So as we do this, let me hide some of these columns. So that's where we're going from. MGRS eventually gets to UTM, and then to latitude, longitude. Hide some more columns here. Oh, I guess I hid too many. But what we're going to look at is how do we turn MGRS how do we turn MGRS into UTM? So let's say I have MGRS and the latitude, longitude. There should be a way to convert it into UTM with those 2 bits of information. So the first thing I want to look at is I have the 45, which is the grid zone that we're in, and then we have, let's see, 45. Now UTM doesn't need a northern grid square letter. All it really needs to know is it in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? And the way we decide that is we look at the latitude. If the latitude is positive, then we're in the northern hemisphere. If the latitude is negative, we're in the southern hemisphere. So this one is in the northern hemisphere. Now we need to grab the digits off of the meters but the X and the B represent something. So first is I want the easting number that represents X. So I come over here and I see where X is, and that is a grid zone. Well, it doesn't matter which grid zone we're in. We only have one choice. X belongs to a 6. So I'm going to put a 6, and then I'm going to grab my 5 digits from the MGRS. 2, 3, 7, 1, 9. Now I'm going to work on the northing. And I want to take the B and figure out what number it belongs to. So here's B. It could belong to any one of these numbers, 21, 41, 61, or 81. But it depends on what our longitude is, or latitude is. So let's see, we're in the north, so 1836, we're at 37, so we're in this row right here, corresponding to B, so that's going to be a 41. And then we want the 5 digits off the northing from the MGRS, that's 86291. We got something incorrect. Let's see. Even grid zone, increase the letter by 5. We're not in an even grid zone. Okay. What's the problem here? X goes with a 6. 2, 3, 7, 1, 9. B goes with a 41. Okay. Yep, let's see. Six, 2, 3, 7, 1, 9, 4, 1, 8, 6, 2. Interesting. Got a rounding problem going on here. It's a 0. Look at that. 90 becomes 89. That is something I don't understand. Yep, we got a rounding issue going on. Looks like I'm 1 meter off for some reason. Yeah, I don't understand that. But that is how we're converting from MGRS to UTM, but you do need to know latitude. We didn't really use the longitude at all, but we used latitude to figure out if we're in the north or the south. And we also used latitude to come up with which number we need out of here. Alright, so that's it, turning MGRS to UTM by hand.